Good morning. This week's devotion is It Just Takes Two. Now, for those of you who are my age or older, you may hear the title of this week's devotion and think of the 1966 song by Marvin Gaye and Kim Weston. But I'm not talking about making dreams come true with me and you. It's about our lesson from Matthew for this week. Jesus had just silenced the Sadducees, so the Pharisees decided that they needed to test him too. The Pharisees were experts on the law, and I'm not talking just the 10 Commandments, but also all of the little laws in Leviticus, the ones on how many steps you can take, how to wash your hands, what foods you can and can't eat, and how you have to cook them, and what you can and can't do on the Sabbath, things like that. So let's listen to their question from Matthew 22, verses 34 through 40. When the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. And one of them, an expert in the law, asked him a question to test him. Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest? He said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. When I was a youth and children's pastor, we would study the 10 Commandments, and I was often asked, what if they forgot one of them? So I would tell them that Jesus had an easy way for you to keep them. Jesus said that the two greatest commandments were that you should love your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus said, on these two commandments hang all the laws and the prophets. What Jesus meant by that was if you loved God with all of your heart and your soul and your mind, then you weren't going to break any of the first 4 commandments. They're about how we treat God. If you really love God, then you will honor and praise God properly. The last 6 commandments are about how we treat other people. If you love your neighbor as yourself, then you won't do anything to hurt them. The only tricky bit about that one is remembering that everyone is considered your neighbor. To follow all of God's commandments, it just takes remembering these 2 and doing our best to do them. Love God and love others by treating them how you would want to be treated. It's simple enough that a preschooler can understand and remember it, but it isn't always easy to do. All we can do is try our best and ask for forgiveness when we stumble. If everyone learned to follow these 2 commandments, the world would be a much better place. Have a blessed week.